I think we ought to talk about the sideline thing.
Yeah, it's so when I watched the play, he caught it and then he took. I was like, oh, he didn't go out, and he took off running, and I was like, he's definitely got this guy beat. And then all of a sudden he stopped, and I was like, oh, he must have stepped out of bounds. And I was like, okay, because like live and from our view,
yeah, we were on the other side of the field.
I was like, okay, that seems like it's a possibility. And then they showed the replay, and I was like, to this computer away. I mean, and he's looking right at it. There must have been like a hot chick in the stands or something, and he was like using his periffs because he wasn't looking at Amari's feet. Because that goes down. That's one of the worst calls. And the fact that you blew it dead.
That's what makes it. Yeah, because if let it play out, and if he was out of bounds, you call it back.
And I think it happens that all the time.
All scoring plays are automatically reviewed.
Yeah, let that play out. Even if you're 100% sure, let that play out, because obviously he did not step out. He would have beat that guy.
Well, the thing is, let it play out, because if he's out of bounds, I mean, even if you let it play and everything, then they'll throw a challenge flag.
You know where the ball's at. Right? It's already marked there. But you're good.
There would not be a challenge on that play, because they would see the replay and say, yeah, he was in.
Yep.
So what I don't understand is, on every single play on the sideline, every time a receiver goes up for a pass, the referees are watching their feet to see where they come in. You have to. So they called it a catch. He called it a catch, so the referee clearly saw that he was in bounds.
He said,
so how did he call him out? He wasn't even, but like you said, he wasn't even close.
Yeah, but that's what he called. He didn't say he caught it out of bounds. He said he caught it,
but what I'm saying is to say that it was an inbounds catch, he would have had to clearly see that his feet were in bounds. And if you saw his feet were in bounds, you had to see the foot or so space.
So we've talked about this plenty of times now. You cannot make an honest mistake like that. There's nothing honest about that.
No, that was
it blatant. Calls into question, who's making money off of that play?
The over-under was 38.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy, but I'd be curious to see the statistics in terms of how many people took the over. You know what I mean? My only counter argument to that would be that it was really early in the game, and at that point it didn't look like we were going to blow them out. You know what I mean? So they didn't know that it was going to keep it. But the over-under was 38, I'm pretty sure is what I saw. So if 80% of people who'd bet on that game took the over, Vegas just made a ton of money.
The thing that's crazy to me is there's literally just hundreds of cameras all over that field.
Yeah.
Why is this still a thing? Why? This is every year we go through this with either with replay or with the officiating. I just don't get how it's still even an issue. Like, they've got to figure something out. This is every year. So.
And here's the deal. So we posted about it online and stuff, and some people are like, oh, bad calls happen all the time. Good teams overcome it.
Yeah, we did.
Listen, we right. We did. We won 27-3. It doesn't change the fact, though, that things like that cost people games. Ask the Saints.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It cost Drew Brees potentially a second Super Bowl.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, in the Cleveland Browns, they have a history of that call goes against the Cleveland all the time. Can you remember any time where the Browns get a favorable call like that? No. It always goes against the Browns. Always. The pass interference, Mike Williams against the Chargers in Baker's year, where they called DPI on Ward.
Yep. No, it was AJ Green. Yeah, I went back and looked today.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the no call on the helmet to helmet on Rashard Higgins. That would get called against the Browns 10 times out of 10.
Yep, I actually posted that picture of the helmet to helmet, and then I posted the explanation of what a targeting penalty is from the NFL's rule book. It was that picture.
Yes, and it's
nothing
just
called.
So at some point, it's like, yes, good teams overcome it. You don't want to leave it in the hands of the officials. We didn't, but God, it's just it's just so frustrating. It's just it always goes.
If it was questionable, that's the thing. Like if it was close, how many times do we watch replays and they're showing where did what color was that pellet that came up? Did it have white?
Right,
you know what I mean? They're so zoomed. He wasn't even close to the sideline.
Why? There's not glass bottles in NFL stadiums anymore.
Yes,
go watch the tape.
It's been going on since the 80s. It's not like this was a blip on the radar, one-time thing against us. It's all the freaking time. All the time. And it's just like, it's getting old because we feel like we have a team that could do something and we don't want to get robbed on some BS.
Right.
You guys want to talk about Myles Garrett getting held real quick?
Go ahead.
Sure.
I'm very undecided on this, but I have kind of an unpopular opinion. When LeBron James played in Cleveland, I used to say he's getting fouled all the time and they're just not calling it. A game would have been like 5 hours long. With Myles, and there are so many, Nick Bosa and TJ Watt, Micah Parsons, you almost have to hold these people or it's just going to be a sack fest the whole game. And then the NFL has a hard time selling a product. My issue right now is like, I don't know if there needs to be some sort of a rule change where you can do maybe a little bit more to a defensive end. You know, I'm not saying choke him out, but just like maybe a little bit more contact before it gets called. But like, I don't know what else you do. Because if you just call holding every time Myles Garrett gets held, it would be a very boring sport.
I don't know what more they can actually allow because I've seen offensive tackles literally with just their arm around his neck, just holding him.
And I'll push back.
But that's not allowed.
Right. But it doesn't get
in the rule book, it's not allowed.
Right.
But see, I'll push back on that a little bit. Is just because it's inconvenient for the game doesn't suddenly make it acceptable.
Correct.
Well, I understand that, but it's still a business. Like, selling a product is their number one priority, regardless of what we want.
I get your point, but at the end of the day, like, you could make that argument about literally like everything.
I know.
That's right.
And you know who it wouldn't be boring for? Browns fans, because we would get sacks all the time. It's one of those things where like I don't know if he's got to. People call LeBron like LaFlop. Well, the reason he has to flop is because they won't call it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's one of those things where, like, does Myles need to start trying to sell it more? I don't want to see him give up on his pass rush, but like, does he got to fall over? Or, like, what does he have to do something to make it?
I've seen plays now already this season where Zadarius Smith is running past the referee pointing, like, look at this.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, so the other guys see it too. So it's being presented to them.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedawgspodcast.com.